Well, this is the advantage of having started out really more as an author and also as a little bit of an investigative researcher, because I'll discover things about history that I will not find in any textbook or on the History Channel or on the BBC. And I'll suddenly realize, wow, this is a fact. Here it is in the documentary record. And then I start digging underneath that fact and I realize there's a whole lot more that's behind it. And then I'm able to construct or maybe reconstruct a narrative that has been completely ignored or suppressed. And very often we can figure out the reasons why it's been suppressed. So to take, an example that relates to the two films you mentioned, you find out, for example, that fascism, although not entirely easy to classify in the left-right framework, let's remember the left-right framework goes back to the French Revolution and the people who sat on the left and sat on the right. So fascism is, in that way, you have to sort of fit it into one or the other mold, but there is a strong argument to be made that it is closely allied with socialism and totalitarianism in that direction, far more so than the kind of traditional autocratic kind of right-wing dictatorships that the left is often squealing about. So that's the kind of thing that everybody in the 30s and 40s knew. In other words, the critics of fascism and the defenders of fascism both acted as if it were on the left. And then somehow, mysteriously, after World War II, fascism became transposed into the right-wing column. And so much so that many of us, when we first learned about it, I assumed that fascism was on the right. And for years, I'd go around saying, well, communism is on the left and fascism is on the right. And it never occurred to me that the term National Socialism, which is, of course, the elongated meaning of Nazism, I needed to look into the socialist roots. So this is the way I kind of grab onto something. For a long time, I would just write about these things. And then I realized that our culture has shifted. We're a culture that's far more visual. Film, both long and short formats, is much more popular. And so these days, I combine the book and the film in a kind of 1-2 punch.